Hey, Sectors here. Today I'm going to be reviewing Neutrino's brand new album, From the Sky. This is Neutrino's second album, releasing 2 years after his first album, Interstellar. Since that album, Neutrino has released a few tracks and has even started up a collaborative alias with me. And you can tell from the tracks that he's released since Interstellar that he's really spent his time and honed his efforts on making more elaborate, immersive atmospheres. And From the Sky is a great showcase of that. The album starts off with Home, which is a nice, comforting track that is pretty fitting to the name. It has a nice, impactful climax that doesn't even use any drums, which is pretty awesome. It's a great uplifting piece with a wonderful atmosphere, and it is a very great way to start off the album. Next up we have Illuminate, and this track seems to pick up where Home left off in my opinion. I kind of felt that the chords used here sounded a little similar to the way they sounded in Home. Not necessarily the chords themselves, but just like kind of the sounds, if that makes sense. It has this really cool sweeping synth that like modulates and it gets faster, but unfortunately it gets dropped like halfway through the song or so, which is a little disappointing. But after that synth disappears, the track's atmosphere continues building in a really satisfying way, right up until it just calms down, goes to a much quieter, calm outro. It's a great track, and I can easily see why this is one of the singles off the album. Next we have Sorrow, which was the first single off the album, and as the name suggests, this one's a lot more downcast, and honestly it sounds a little ominous. It has these occasional low synth plucks that occur, and that really backs up like the ominous, downcast mood. Stratosphere seems to shift the album's mood away from the sorrow into something that seems a little more hopeful, yet still mysterious. There are these occasional bits of melody in the background that are really nice and contribute to this comforting yet mysterious feeling. Night is a fittingly pretty dark track, mainly consisting of like a lower frequency rumbling, some crickets chirping, and some long drawn out chords. There's not really much to say about this other than it's a cool experiment from Neutrino. Not really a personal favorite. I feel it goes on a little too long, but it's still a great piece of ambient music. Cirrus maintains the dark feeling from Night, but expands on it in a really cool way. It sounds ominous with these really cool sound choices. I just feel like this one works a lot more as a track than Night does, but Night's more minimal production does fit the theme well. Cirrus is more of just a dynamic, progressive track that I personally enjoy a lot more. Elysian is a pretty short track, which is a shame because this one's really cool. It has a lot of awesome elements here. It has these cool electronic noises at the beginning, which really sets this track apart from the rest of the album. As, you know, it's just more ambient. It doesn't really have that much electronic influence. So to hear some more like blatantly electronic synths is kind of cool, and I dig it. Some other cool things that happen in this track are these like various synths in the background that are kind of like pulsating. It just sounds really cool. The track sounds super dynamic. It's one of my favorites here easily, and I just wish it had more time to develop, because it feels like once this track starts to like really get going, it just ends, and it's really sad. I wish this one was a lot longer. Distant Skies is next, and this is the only other track besides Night on the album to be over 4 minutes, and I feel like this one uses the 4-minute runtime a lot better than Night does. There's just a lot of cool ambience and progression here. The track feels hopeful in a way, and it's pretty nice. The last 2 tracks of the album are pretty short, both under 2 minutes, which is unfortunate in my opinion. Imperfect has a nice atmosphere with some more prominent synths, and towards the end this turns into a really nice piano piece, and I just really wish that Neutrino expanded on this, because it's unlike anything he's really done. So the fact that it just didn't really develop much past this is a little unfortunate to me. Then we have the closing track, Forever. This track features a sample of people talking in the background, maybe like crowd noise. It seemingly gets a little more chaotic as the track progresses, and as it gets more chaotic, the crowd noise just fades out and we're brought into this nice atmosphere. But the issue is that this track is so short that this atmospheric part with like its melody just isn't long enough to really make a lasting impact, and it just doesn't feel like it's a good closer. It just needed more time to develop and really hit hard, I think. That being said, From the Sky is a pretty well-produced ambient journey. Comparing this to Neutrino's first album, Interstellar, you can tell that the production quality has heavily increased. However, this album is definitely not without its faults. My main issue here are the three shortest tracks, Elysian, Imperfect, and Forever. They're all under 2 minutes, and this is just a little jarring to me because all these ideas here are great, they just feel underdeveloped. Elysian and Imperfect are my two favorite tracks on this album, actually, but I can't help but feel like they could have been expanded on and become even better than they already are. They just weren't given enough time to truly develop into their full potential, and I wish that some more time was given to these tracks. Imperfect, on the other hand, does have a cool idea, I think, but too much of its runtime is spent on the crowd sample. Like half the track is taken up by this crowd sample, and it just doesn't leave that much space for the actual atmospheric part that's supposed to leave a lasting impact as the finale for this album. It just doesn't have that much time to develop and, have that impactful moment that a closer is supposed to have. And it really just kind of falls flat as a closer and is a little confusing. It's just especially frustrating because I feel like if expanded on, this track could have been a great closer, but it just wasn't long enough, and that's a little sad. But besides my aggravations with the length of the three shortest tracks, I don't really have any other complaints about From the Sky. This is not an album I'll really go out of my way to listen to, as it's not really fit for casual listening, but I respect the quality immensely. If you're looking for some good study music or just relaxation music, I would not only recommend this album, I would recommend Neutrino's entire discography, because he's got a lot of ambient music that's pretty good, and he's honestly really underappreciated, so just check him out. This album is a 6 out of 10 for me, great quality and enjoyable, but as I mentioned, there's just some things holding this back. Let me know what you guys thought about this album in the comments. If you have any suggestions, just let me know, and I'll see you.